I'm doing great. What about you?
I'm also doing great because this day is holiday today.
Yes, it is. So I'd like to say happy Tuesday and happy Children's Day.
Just to this is Happy
Hmm.
Children's Day.
Yes. Can I ask you a few questions? Because I'm
Sure.
wondering, a lot of countries, or say most countries, don't celebrate Children's Day. So I was
Really?
wondering, what is the purpose of, Children's Day, and what are the common activities that people do during this time?
As you uh, notice the name of the Children's Day, this is for the
Mhm.
children. Most
Mhm.
parents are going to outside to play with their children, and
Mhm.
maybe in history Bang Jong-hwan, the
Mhm.
former
Who
politician,
is that?
made this
Okay.
day to celebrate the children. And
Mhm.
in general, our countries on May is very famous for the family.
Mhm.
We contribute, we celebrate the family activities
Mhm.
these days. So we have also have Parents' Day after 3 days
Oh,
later from
okay.
Children's Day. Yeah.
Mm. All right. Well, actually, Children's Day is only unique to Korea, but it's a great thing that you have that holiday. As a
Mm-hmm.
foreign perspective, I always thought that the Korean government created this due to the fact that your educational system is quite, strict and stressful for children. So they
Really.
created the day for children to play.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Mm.
Mm-hmm. It depends on the family situation, right?
Yeah. Yes, you're right.
Mm.
All right. Well, today, should we continue with your IELTS Step 1?
Yes, that's true. I thought about the book
Mm-hmm.
request. I think I looked into closely this book, and I
Mm-hmm.
realized that I had not enough knowledge about this book. So I think I actually
Mm-hmm.
one is great for me and
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Well, normally, in my own perspective, what I do is that I immediately go to step 2
Hmm.
and I teach them the process. But in the process, I'm teaching also step 1. But since our new rule in the company states that we have to finish the book before we move to another, or
Aha.
if the student requested from the company, from the manager,
Hmm.
we can change it.
Aha.
Okay? So
I
here,
know.
we're just going to study some of the things that we need to put in our minds
Hmm.
when we do the exam. All
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, that's true. And then how
So
about
I,
starting
mhm.
chapter one overview in detail? Uh, three assessment criteria.
Mm.
Since
You mean
you
lesson 3?
yeah, lesson three assessment criteria.
Okay. Sure. 1 second. I shared it now, but I think it's going to take us a little while.
Hmm.
All right. Maybe I'll just do this. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
So we are in Chapter 1 Overview, Lesson 3, right? Assessment
Right.
criteria.
Right.
Mm. So we're going to focus on the criteria or the criterions on how to assess or evaluate someone during the exam.
Yes.
Okay? So let's move to page 10.
Yeah.
I think the system is a little slow.
How about other computer system?
Actually, the computer is fine. The problem is the website
Okay. That's fine.
because they're updating.
Ah,
All right, now can you see it?
yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do.
Hmm.
Actually, when it comes to your answers, you will be evaluated with 4 macro skills,
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
So you probably knew about this
Hmm.
because you took the test before.
Yes.
And here, these 4 are, can you read them for me? The first one,
Mm, hold on.
letter A.
Speaking bass.
Oh, it's actually here.
A fluency and coherence, speech rate and continuity, sequencing of events, cohesive devices.
Okay. So in fluency and coherence, it means when you say fluency, it's how you speak. And when you say coherence, these are the ideas, how they are linked together.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one is your speech rate. So they try to also test how fast you speak and how slow you speak. And of course, the continuity of your ideas. If the ideas that you're talking about are related to the ones that you mentioned earlier,
Mm.
that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say sequencing events, it means you are able to organize your ideas appropriately. Okay? And you can only do this if you have cohesive devices. All
Mm.
right?
Uh-huh.
So cohesive devices examples are, let's say, for addition, you say and, moreover, in addition, like that.
Mm-hmm.
In sequencing events, you can use the word first, second, then, after that,
Mm-hmm.
next to it, like
Mm.
that. So these cohesive devices are very necessary. Don't worry, in our next topic, you can actually have a full copy of all of those words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
But later, after your class, I'm going to send you a link, a website wherein you can check examples of these cohesive devices. Okay?
Sure.
Mm. All right. Number 2, can you read that for me?
Lexical resource. Synonyms and
Hmm.
antonyms. Paraphrasing. Paraphrasing.
Yes,
Collocations.
paraphrasing.
Mm.
Mm. Now, what do you mean when you say lexical resources? Can you
It,
tell me what does that mean?
it means idioms or
Mm-hmm.
words. I mean the 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 ability of speaking various words.
Mm, exactly. So when you say lexical resources, these are the resources that you have. Words, okay? So it could mean synonym or antonyms, having same or opposite meaning. It can also talk about your paraphrasing. So you can tell me the noun form, the verb, the adjective, the adverb, like that, of a single word. And when you say collocations, these are two words that are connected to each other. So they could be phrasal verbs, they could be idiomatic expressions. So all of these talk about the word choices that you make. Okay? So it will also depend on your level if you use simple vocabularies or moderate or intermediate vocabulary.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the only thing that you have to make sure of when you're studying or you're speaking is you have to make sure that the vocabularies that you're using are appropriate to the content.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm. All right. Number 3. Can you read that?
Grammatical range and accuracy.
Mm.
First, functional language, sentence construction, verb tenses.
Okay. I think this one doesn't need a lot of explanation.
Yeah.
It only means how good your grammar is
Yeah.
and how accurate it is to the
Mm.
situation.
Yes.
So functional language, you can use your expressions here.
Mm.
Sentence construction, your patterns,
Mm-hmm.
and of course your verb tenses, which you have to be sure of. All right. I think this is the most basic one because
Mm.
you've been studying this from elementary until today, right?
Right.
Mm. Don't worry. In the future, if we're going to have classes and you will have problems or confusion between verb tenses or in any grammar form, you can just ask me anytime and I will answer you.
Sure.
Okay?
Thanks so much.
Yes. And finally, the last one.
Pronunciation, speech, intelligibility, stress and intonation.
Okay. So for your pronunciation, this could be tackled in your NS course if you studied it.
Mm.
Now, probably for most students, this is something that they have difficulty in doing because for letter A until letter C, they can do it using their minds. But for letter D, they can only do it using their tongue, their mouth, right?
Mm.
Now, pronunciation is quite easy for younger people, but for older people, it's quite difficult because they have already been used to their mother tongue,
That's
all
true.
right? But you know what? In my question for you,
Mm.
do you think that they will score your accent during the exam?
Maybe they, yes, they try to evaluate pronunciation, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, there are many mother languages such as English
Mm-hmm.
and Spanish and
Mm-hmm.
Australia English and other English. So
Mm-hmm.
their 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 mother language is different.
Mm.
So it is difficult to define the correct
Okay.
pronunciation.
Well, I understand your point,
Mm.
but actually, according to the rule, we don't score or evaluate your accent.
Oh,
Okay, we
really?
only focus on your pronunciation. Your
Uh-huh.
accent is how you sounded according to your country. So
Mm.
each country will have a different sound.
Yeah.
And as you know, IELTS is an examination for non-native speakers.
Yeah.
So it is common for students to have IELTS in or accents in their language. Okay?
Uh-huh.
But we try to check if they could use it in a neutral manner. Right?
Mm.
So sometimes we have your native speaker and your neutral speaker.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm. So for your case, they're only looking forward to listening to neutral conversation. Okay? So you have to know your stress and your intonation. So
Mm.
let's try an example. Here's a question. I think this is part 2. And I want to read it and you will answer. Try to use as much of these as possible. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So just a trial, and then I will evaluate you after.
Mm.
Okay?
Yes.
Mm. So can you read this for me?
You mean page 11, right?
Yes. No,
Part
this is 10.
10? Example 1.
Mm.
The, the example below displays the appropriate use of collocations and question devices. In addition, descriptive words are also used appropriately to discuss the topic. The variety of sentence structures and verb tenses are also evident in the sample answer.
Mm. Appropriate. Can you say it again?
Appropriate.
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 Yes. All right. So here it says, describe a place that you have recently visited.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in your answer, you should tell me where the place is, who you went with, and how the place looks like. And try to answer it in an interesting manner. Okay?
Okay.
So during your answer, of course, I'd like to hear good pronunciation, different vocabularies, okay? And of course, your grammatical use. So it says visited, have PP. So it means you have to use the same tense,
Yes,
right?
that's true.
Another is your fluency and coherence. So you have to link these three ideas from each other. So how? It's up to you, okay? So maybe I'll give you 30 seconds to prepare, then I want to hear your answer. You can start preparing now.
I'm ready.
Okay. So can you answer that for me?
Mm, Recently, I went to Gangwon, to Gosokjeong, which
Mm-hmm.
is very beautiful place to visit. I went to uh, with my family
Mm-hmm.
since as my sister has lived in Gangwon-do for one
Mm-hmm.
a year. So we, my parents and I visited Gangwon-do to meet my sister's family.
Mm-hmm.
At Gosokjeong, there are very mm, many places to um, sit to
Mm-hmm.
rest, and there are many people to look around the beautiful things,
Mm-hmm.
and they are truly mm, look looked very peaceful and deeply mm, mm, some get some fresh air and there
Mm-hmm.
are also famous for the lifting sites because uh, the water is narrow to swim, and
Mm-hmm.
the mountains is very mm, many. So
Okay. Well, I'm so
and
sorry. I
ends
have to
up,
cut you.
yeah.
Yeah, time is up. Also, in the examination, they will cut you when the time is up. However, before we end up, I'd like to say it's actually good you used, I think your lexical resource is amazing, this part. Your pronunciation is also quite okay, but we have problems with your fluency. As you know, the way you talk and the gaps that you have in there. All
Yeah.
right. And for grammatical resource. So these are the things that you have to focus on. All
Yeah.
right. So thank you for now. I'm sorry. And I'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.